Women are not meant to work to pay their bills. Women just work to be happy. That's the truth. The ideal dream of a woman is to be doing a job she likes, at the pace she likes, at the time she likes, so that she can have time to look beautiful.
You see how lovey-dovey that particular message is sounding. I remember back in the days when I was a teenager that I used to basically live in church, whenever my pastor was preaching on these kind of topics, how women are vulnerable, they need to relax on the men, all the ladies will be feeling special, right? And then that is another scenario that you see. That's like when men are coming as suitors to ladies. We see a bit of that as well. A lot of men will be like, how much are you making in that your job that you just be stressing yourself? Leave that job, just stay at home, take care of our children, do some of the chores around the house, whatever. I can handle everything. Don't worry. What is it that I cannot take care of? And then the lady feels like the man has done her a favor. But nobody tells us ladies what exactly we are giving up when we take up that offer or that belief that we're not supposed to work, or that work is a stress, is something we should kind of delegate to the men. Nobody tells you how vulnerable that makes you. Now, first of all, I want us to address the fact that femininity or being female or being a woman does not have anything to do with weakness. The thing is, that is what they're trying to paint to us. When they say, oh, I need you in your feminine energy, means like you should just be vulnerable so that they will just toss you around anyhow. But the fact is that work is not an option. It's not a choice. It is something we all need to do, because work is the way we explore ourselves, find out our purpose and what, the gifts and talents in us. Imagine that you have a garden somewhere and the garden, or you have a plot of land and there's oil in there, in the ground, and you never till the ground. How are you supposed to know what is inside it? So when they're telling you, come on, you don't need to stress yourself. They're just saying, don't till your ground. Do not till your ground. Do not use work to discover your strengths, your talents, and then they're saying basically that women are just supposed to work, just to relax, that they're not supposed to work to pay bills. But the truth is that nobody, even in God's original plan, was supposed to work for the purpose of paying bills. We were supposed to work to discover purpose. So, for example, the work that God gave Adam was not for him to work in order to put food on the table, because in Eden, there was already food everywhere. Fruits and vegetables were what humans used to eat in the Garden of Eden. So the idea of working to pay bills is a curse, and it was even laid on man. So if you say women were not meant to work to pay bills, neither were men originally meant to work to pay bills. Every human is supposed to work. So that was why when God made Adam, he said, I'm putting you here to dress and keep the garden. And when the time came for Eve to be manifested, God also said, you need someone that can work together with you in this. And God brought her to help in the work. To help in the work. Eve was not cooking in any kitchen. They were just eating the food straight from the trees. There was no cooking to be done, right? So this idea that women just relax and be taking care of home stuff while men go out there, it was not there in the beginning. And I believe that the Bible tells us that Jesus came to restore things that into the way they are supposed to be, right? Now, let me not even go over to that tangent. I want us to also look at the Bible. The Bible says that we are all called to work. We have a great commission, an assignment to go and spread the values of God's kingdom in the earth. And Jesus specifically says to everybody, work while it is day, because night is coming when no man can work. So it was not just the men that he was talking to. Whether we're talking about it from the ministry perspective, the way we often understand ministry, or whether it comes to using our talents and gifts to impact the earth, everybody is called to work. You know that whatever you don't use begins to atrophy. I came across this story of a man, I think somewhere in India. One day he just decided that he's just going to raise his hand up. I think he was kind of protesting something. I'm not too sure. But basically this man just raised this one hand, whether it's the left or right hand, and he said he's not going to bring it down. And that hand stayed there for years and years. That hand dried up. It lost connection to the body. There's no blood flowing. It dried up, and that's how his hand always is. So when you tell a woman that she's not supposed to work is supposed to be time, just you do it at your leisure or whatever, then her skills are going to die away, and she ends up becoming totally dependent on the man. Now, let's even talk about women and working or whatever. They always tell us that they want us to be virtuous women. But if we look at the definition of the virtuous woman in the Bible, the Proverbs 31 woman, she was working, she was a businesswoman, industrious person. The Bible says she will go send her sheep to different countries. to go and bring goods, and she will sell it and she will make money and dress all the people of her household. She will put food on the table. Was she not working? Was she not an independent person? Was she not working and making money, paying the bills? Her husband was basically sitting at the gate. Now, Bible tells us also about Lydia in the New Testament. She was a seller of purple linen, so basically robes that are used to, make clothing for the rich and all that. And she was a main sponsor of Jesus's ministry here while he was on earth. Now, we all know a lot of women have the stories of, my husband is always sending money to his family, but when it comes to my family, he'll be like this and that. If you don't work and you fall into that temptation of thinking that work is optional, whoever is in your life will be sponsoring the things he thinks are important to him. But the things that matter to you, it will be with a beg. And if you talk too much, you will be called a nag. Now, so that is why another example, Lydia is another example. She was working and she was able to fund the things that matter to her. Now, Abigail in the Bible, the wife of Nabal, she had her own money. Her husband was doing whatever he wants with money. King David came to him for help, to feed his men after taking, protecting Nabal's flocks in the fields, and Nabal refused. If not that, Abigail had access to money and she was able to use her money to kind of make sure that David was supplied with and his men were supplied with what they needed. She would have been consumed along with her husband, and her entire household would have been unalived because she was just saying, okay, I'm Oriaku, I'm a stay-at-home wife. I trust that my husband will provide. Now, there's so many areas that we could go into to start talking about whether women should be celebrating or embrace the idea that we don't need to work. But I want you to understand that in this our misogynistic world, you should never allow anybody to make you see work as an option. Because also when they change on you, Bible says that the heart of man is desperately wicked. When a man changes on you, a lot of times you see all these single mothers. Some of them have 2 children, 3 children. Some of them will have 5 children. It could be the man walks away, or even if the man passes, then the woman has nothing to show for it because she has been seeing work as something optional. She wouldn't have built up a career. She wouldn't have built up financial strength. And then she will still end up having to go out and work, saddled with all those children and all the responsibilities. And at this point, she probably is not even any longer in the flow of the career world or in business world. So even to get a job or to get things rolling financially becomes a challenge. So my dear, do not fall into that temptation of thinking that, oh, they are offering you a good deal, a blank check, when they tell you that you don't need to work, or if you work, just do it as an option. No, work hard. Make sure that you are independent, not because you are planning to leave anybody. They make us feel bad if we say we want to have our own finances. Make us feel like it's because one wants to walk away. It has nothing to do with that. But you want to be able to be independent, to be able to support in whatever ways you can. And if need be, if push comes to shove, for you to be able to have your own voice in that relationship. So do what you will with this information. And I'll see you in my next video.